Okay, so what we do is we open that up and we let it, as you can tell, juice is always coming in here a little bit, so we can keep draining it. Now to make the jelly, we only need half a cup of the juice. So we're just going to sit here and kind of make it a mess, but we're just going to keep letting it fill up. As you can see, it keeps filling up. I keep draining it. And we're getting beautiful dark purple juice. And this will be, like I said, for our jelly. Now, pokeberry jelly, to me at least, tastes an awful lot like Concord grape jelly, except it's got a bit of a kick to it. Some zing, tang, whatever you want to call it. Because grape jelly's kind of, you know, just blah and grape jelly. I mean, it tastes good, but it just... And the pokeberry kind of gives you a little... I don't even know how to describe it. Kind of like eating a sweet tart or something like that. It gives you that little bit of a whoo at the end of the... It's very, very good, though. Well, we're getting there. We're almost... And then, of course, I have a little tiny bit in the pot where it went crazy when I tried to pop it open. That's the bad thing about having the crimp on here for a long time. When you don't use it, it kind of, especially in hot weather, it can kind of stick, and I didn't bother to check it first before I put it on there. We'll look down in there later and you can see how they're doing. They're still quite plump, so there's a lot of juice left in them still. I've got some jars in the big pot back here that are getting hot, because you can actually, with this juicing method, you could fill up a jar, a hot jar, and I've got the lids back in this pot behind the juicer warming up. Since the juice is hot and the jars are hot, you can go ahead and put the juice straight into the jar, put the lid on it, and it will seal. You don't have to can it. It'll self-seal itself. Of course, I don't have the... Usually, you would fill up that whole colander pot with the pokeberries, and this thing would just be filling up much faster than it is now. But we just put a little colander's worth in, and so that's why it's taking a little longer than normal to fill up. Normally I could just sit here and just open that thing up and it would just fill a whole jar up, but we didn't fill the colander up, so it's going a little bit slower. Just to kind of give you an idea of how fast it normally would occur. Almost to our half a cup. Okay, we're about full. I think this should... Yeah, that's pretty good. So now we've got our half cup of pokeberry juice. And, And then, to make the jelly, we need 2 cups of apple juice. All right. And then, of course, we have our half a cup of pokeberry juice, our 2 cups of apple juice. Then we put in a half a cup of lemon juice. And then we put in our pectin. Now I have got the pectin in this little thing here instead of a box. So 6 tablespoons of pectin out of here are the same as the little box of pectin. And so we stir that. And until boiling. Or we actually just heat it till it's boiling. So I'm going to put that up there. Because then we're going to need to put in 4½ cups of sugar. So I've already got 4 cups of sugar here. And then I'm going to do another ½ cup. So that's ready when we get to that point.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see, but it's just starting. You can see some movement in there, and it's starting to boil. There it goes. So now we got to turn our heat down a little bit and start adding our sugar. Meanwhile, back here, we have our jelly jars heating up. And then in the other little pan is our lids. Isn't that a beautiful, gorgeous color? Of course, it's kind of all lumpy because I just dumped it all in there, but it'll all melt. We'll just keep stirring it. And the one thing is, this stuff really does make really pretty jelly. You can still feel the, or I can still feel the sugar down in there, so we got to keep it. Although you can also feel that it's gotten much thicker. Where's, I got a lump over there. Now, if you're a person with patience, you could just use a sifter and sift your sugar in there so it melts. I tend to be a rather impatient person. I just dump it all in and go with it from there. And it still all works out the same, so. Jelly making is very much a trial and error thing. Some people have no problems making jelly. Others seem to, I don't know what their thing is, if they don't follow the directions properly, or if it's the altitude also has, you know, things to do with. Okay, so we're gonna let that, it's feeling pretty good. I'm going to let it sit there a little tiny bit, and I've got my ladle and my thing that goes in my, so I'm going to put them in the hot water here a little bit, and that will disinfect them. And wow, this is really good. I didn't get foam this time. If you happen to get foam in your jelly when you're making it, you can put a pat of butter in. Don't use margarine. Use real butter. It does not affect the taste, but it does get rid of those annoying foamy bubbles. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my little tongs and take out a jelly jar and set down here on my table and put my little thing on. Actually, let me pull this closer to the stove. Let me shut off my jelly. Stir it again. And I'm going to start filling my jelly jar up. Now, some people have all kinds of pots going for this situation. I tend to be a little more flexible. So I'm going to put my lid on. Yes, that is very hot. You gotta be careful about that. Dang it. This is very common in jelly making. Okay, now it's like, okay. There we go. We turn it, put it on, and then I take my little thing and I put it back down in the water. And the top of the lid has to be covered with water, because now that is going to be, actually let me take this off of there because it is going to foam up now.